Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another podcast on the You Can Call Me Goddess podcast. We are here and we are getting right into it today because I only have like half an hour before I have to run, but I really wanted to get this podcast out to you guys. And so this is going to be a little bit shorter than normal, but we're still going to be diving into some good stuff today. So what I really wanted to talk about today in today's podcast is this confusion between self-love and self-image healing. So what is the difference between the two, right? Because we hear it a lot of the time that we need to heal our self-image, we need to heal our self-love, but what is actually the difference between the two? And the funny thing is a lot of us actually don't know what it means to really love yourself or what it means to really heal your self-image. And I know this from experience because I really struggled with self-image issues for the longest time, specifically with my body. And that is how I got to doing what I got to do, how I got to doing to what I got to do in, for example, my bodybuilding competition, in my fitness journey. All of that stuff stemmed from self-image issues, from issues of not seeing how I was absolutely perfect the way that I was. And I know for a fact that I am not the only one that struggles with this. Like when I look into a lot of things, when I speak to people, when I look at TV shows, when I deal with my clients, with my members, all of our issues often stem from self-image issues. And so what does it actually mean to have self-image issues? Basically, the true definition of healing your self-image is actually being at a point of not wanting to change anything about yourself. So literally, if you had the chance to rebuild yourself exactly in the same way, you would. So you wouldn't change a thing about yourself right now. And you can see how nowadays that is something that a lot of us struggle with because more than ever, we are going out and changing things about ourselves. We are literally getting our eye colors lasered into different eye colors. We are literally going to change multiple things about ourselves with plastic surgery, with fillers, with all of these kinds of things. So when you're looking at people that are doing all of this stuff, they are actually really like, and even if you're doing it yourself, you're dealing with a self-image issue because you're not seeing the perfection in who you are. And that is okay because we have also been programmed to doubt ourselves and have these limiting beliefs about ourselves. And especially with social media nowadays, all around us showing these videos, it is really like, how do you say that? Like putting salt in the wound of how we feel about ourselves. And it's not making it easier to fully step into our power because there's not many coaches, people out there telling us how to step into our power and see our beauty and see our perfection and actually see how we are truly perfect. And the more we are disconnected from seeing our perfection, the more that is going to affect all the other areas of our life. And I want to touch upon that a little bit more because when we talk about self-image healing, a lot of the time we talk about the body. We talk about our physical appearance, right? So many people will be like, yeah, but I've healed my self-image. And that is because they have probably healed their self-image when it comes to how they view their physical appearance, how they view their body, their looks, all of this stuff. So maybe they've healed that to a certain degree. But the thing is, with all of these things, all these imbalances and having like a total balance in all areas and literally being like in the best space ever, you need to see your self-image as perfect in every area of your life. So that means if you feel like you would build yourself the exact same way when it comes to your physical appearance, you would also build yourself the exact same way when it comes to how you act and do certain things, right? So I'll use me as an example. I can be quite a scatterbrain. If you know me, I'm a scatterbrain. But instead of seeing that as a negative thing about myself, start looking at why that makes me perfect because I'm built exactly how I'm meant to be built to fulfill the role that I have in this life, to do what I'm meant to be doing in this life, or to overcome the obstacles that I'm facing in this life and help others overcome those obstacles as well. So being a scatterbrain makes me so much more identifiable. Is that a word? Identify. Sometimes I wonder if I just say random stuff, but like relatable. That's better. It makes me way more relatable because we're not like, yes, we're perfect, because that's where I get confused. Yes, we're perfect in Source's eyes. We're exactly how we're meant to be, but we are human. And so I am a scatterbrain, and I do sometimes exactly like this. I need to check that my mic is plugged in properly. I am a scatterbrain, and I do sometimes, forget where I left my keys or leave things all over the place. And, but that makes me relatable. That makes me someone that you can relate with. It makes things funnier. It makes things more exciting, I guess, because, you never know where your keys are going to be, and you never know where my pen is going to be. And it's like a scavenger hunt. So making things more fun in my life. But what I'm trying to say here is that even the things that you worry about. So I'll give you another personal example of mine. I once was, when I was younger, 16 years old, I was called out to meet some friends like late at night at a restaurant to have a drink. And they called me out there to basically tell me that I talk too much and too much about myself. And so those are like key moments in your life that probably, I'm sure you've experienced those moments that leave like a burner mark on you. So it's like a little traumatic experience that you can't get rid of. So what that left me with after that experience, and obviously knowing now, looking back and knowing all the spiritual laws of the universe, I realized that moment was a very reflective moment for me, and it made me have to grow because I had to stand up for myself, which I did, by the way. Now looking back, actually, I didn't even realize that. So you guys are helping me figure that out. I stood up for myself in that moment and decided that that was a boundary for me and that my friend had hurt me. And then I was like, I'm not going to talk to you after what you've done. So I stood up for myself in that moment. And that was like a big pivotal moment for me. But at the same time, it was something that kind of confirmed a limiting belief about myself, right? Something about my self-image, not to do with my body, but with how I behaved and how people perceived me. So ever since that moment, I would like worry if I was talking too much and telling too much of my side of the story. And I would be like, oh my God, like, oh no, I'm talking too much. I'm telling too much. But the reason I would do that is because I could find relatable things in my story, because storytelling is such a great way of coaching people because they can identify with you by letting the person know that I understand where you're coming from because I went through X, Y, and Z. So I know what you mean. And it was my way of like connecting with another person and making them see that I understood them and that I empathized with that person. But obviously that moment made me very self-conscious of speaking too much. And I would catch myself thinking, okay, I need to ask them now, or I need to stop talking now. Maybe they think I'm talking too much. And these little things are signs that you haven't fully healed your self-image because you're still doubting how people are perceiving you, right? And if you're doing the perfect thing at the perfect time. So that's why I wanted to dive into this, because I felt like, a lot of us, we go into, coaching ourselves and growth and wanting to expand in different areas of life. But we wonder why we're like hitting a block somewhere and we're not getting where we want to be. And a lot of the time, why we're not getting where we want to be is either self-love or self-image healing. And because we often only look at 4 areas of life, we often only look at the body, we look at relationships, we look at money, and we look at family, maybe, no, health. Like we only look at, I'm already naming the other ones because they're ingrained in my brain, but we only look at like 4 areas where we could feel like our self-image is low. And a lot of the time with self-image, we only look at how we look, right? We don't often look at how people experience us or in different areas. So you could be feeling super confident in your financial area of life and feel like you're perfect in that area of life. But if you're doubting yourself in how you're behaving around your family, or you're doubting yourself in social interactions, then there is still a lot to be gained there. And why that's important is because we've spoken a little bit about your energetic body and how what you think kind of starts broadcasting out into your energetic body, especially your emotions, because they're very strong. They program things that people read about you in your energy. So to have a balance in all those areas, that is what's going to have that strongest broadcast, right? Of like, I feel great about myself. My self-image is high. I see my value. I see my worth. And when that is in all areas of life, and you don't doubt yourself in any areas of your life, and you see the perfection in all the actions that you've taken in all those areas of your life, you're going to start attracting more of that into your life. People are going to start seeing that you are perfection in all these areas of life. They're going to want to be around your energy. They're going to want to invest in you. You're going to have better relationships because you're seeing your value, so they see your value. And so if you see your value in the physical area of life, but you're not seeing your value in the social area of life, so how often is it that we feel super confident on our own, and then when we start comparing ourselves to someone else, or we're in a group of aspiring people or people that have things that we think that we want, we suddenly start bringing our self-image down because we start comparing. We start going, oh, but they have that and I'm not there yet. So by complimenting the other person, you're bringing yourself down. Instead, you need to start seeing that difference, like by going, oh my God, the fact that I surround myself with these people means that I must be successful. Or the fact that I can see that in that person means that I must be successful, right? So shifting that perspective and actually seeing how perfect you are, that is going to change so many things in your life. And that's why we need to make sure that we look at all the areas of life, because otherwise you're going to be missing where you could still be gaining those self-image percentages and where you could start seeing how fully amazing you are. And because you haven't tackled that area, that's why you're still seeing obstacles and blocks. If you look at, so basically I've been watching so many reality TV shows because I love that stuff. But even like regular other shows that I've been watching, like now I'm watching The Bear. I don't know if you guys are watching, if you've watched The Bear. But for example, I was watching Vanderpump Rules, or whoever's seen like, what's it called? The Secret Life of Mormon Wives, right? If you look at everybody in that show and what they're struggling with, I want you to look at them, and literally the thing that they are struggling with most of the time is a worthiness issue. They don't see their worth somewhere. They don't see their potential. They don't see their value. They're knocking themselves down. And that's where the struggles come from. So for example, let's use The Bear for an example, because this is not going to spoil anything for the show, but you see the main character, he's a chef, and he is like working so hard in such a neurotic way. But that all comes from a self-worth issue, because he feels like if he works that way, he proves something to someone else or to himself mainly. We always try to prove it to ourselves that then we are worthy, then we have value. So I want you to go around and see people that you're interacting with, and I want you to see where their struggle is coming from. So if they're talking about financial struggle, they probably don't feel like they have the capabilities or the skills to grow their finances, or they are not valuable enough to earn a certain amount of money. If you look at someone who struggles with body image issues, they feel like they don't have the capability to get the body that they desire, or they don't deserve that body, or they don't think they're worthy of it, or they start comparing themselves to other people. Think of any area of life, family area of life. What do we struggle with the most? The biggest triggers that we have, they are highly reflective of where we are struggling in our life. They're going to pinpoint exactly where it hurts because that's what family's for, right? So they're going to go, "Hey, so how's it going with your love life?" And that's going to hit you where it hurts, and you're going to go like, "Oh shit," you're going to start doubting yourself because you're not further along. But it's only showing you that you have self-image issues there, that you are struggling to see your worth and your value and why you're not further along. Literally pick any TV show and you will see this trend everywhere. And you can start seeing how at the core and the root of everybody wanting to shift and change and wanting to get what they desire, their biggest block comes from a self-image issue, an issue that they are struggling to overcome because they're not seeing where it actually is. They are thinking that they're feeling confident. So for example, let's use the bear because that's such a good example right there. He's super confident in his skills as a chef. So his self-image there is sky high. So that's not the issue. So the person overlooks the other areas of life, but then somewhere else, he isn't so confident in who he is and his capabilities, right? In the love life area of his life, or physical area or mental area of his life. That's where you can start like seeing how that has a ripple effect on other areas of your life when you're not balanced and seeing your self-image as perfect and your worth as extremely high in all the other areas. Then that is going to have a domino effect or an effect on other areas of your life. And that is why self-image healing is so important. And then now taking it back to your body, and we've spoken about this before, your body like communicates to you through symptoms like holding on to body weight, bloating, swelling, rashes, things like that. And a lot of the time, they are also telling you that there is a self-image issue, that you are struggling with something, and it might not even be your body. It probably has to do with your potentials and not seeing your fullest potentials and feeling like you're capable of doing something and you're settling somewhere. And because of that, you are losing out on the growth that you can make, because when you can see yourself as perfect and literally capable of anything that you desire, and literally see even every little flaw as a perfection about yourself, because there were no mistakes when you were made, literally none. So because you were here, you were made perfectly for what you were meant to be doing here. And when you can start truly seeing and embodying that, everything starts to shift. Even the things that you struggle with your body will start to shift when you start seeing how perfect it actually is. And I know that can be very hard sometimes. And like, yeah, but how the hell do you do that when X, Y, and Z is happening? That is the challenge. The challenge is seeing the perfection in X, Y, and Z, and seeing like even your biggest flaws as something that makes you unique and special. Because they're not flaws. They're what make you you, and nobody else can be you like you are you, right? And that's a funny thing, right? Because if you look at storylines, even like I'm thinking in stories and movies and things, because they're so relatable. If you look at like the geek girl that suddenly becomes popular, it's their imperfections and the things that make them unique that get them on top, and then suddenly they have the glow up. It's literally how it works, and that is how it works in real life. So if you can start identifying and noticing in moments where you're starting to doubt your self-image and where you're starting to be like, oh no, I don't know if I'm good enough. Even a split second moment of thinking that, or comparing yourself to someone else and being like, oh, she's better than me. Start dissecting why you feel that way, and then go like, are you actually better than that other person? Because that is the funny thing, like, especially being a personal trainer back in the day when I was a personal trainer, there are so many personal trainers, right? There's so many of them. So what makes me unique is always the question. Like, what is your unique selling point? And the thing is, it's you. It's who you are, because people are attracted to your energy and what you provide. And that's the same with relationships. That's the same with career. It's the same with financial. It's in every area of your life. That is what makes you you, is what is your unique selling point. And when you can literally hone in on all the things about yourself that make you so unique and so valuable, and really truly feel the feelings of how special you are, and then go through all the areas of your life and do it across the board and see why that is helpful in all those areas, that's when you're going to start seeing so many things change. Because a lot of the time, that is where you're blocking. That is where something needs to be shifted. And it is literally one of the greatest manifestations tools is self-image healing. And I want to just, before we close off this short but sweet podcast, and I'm sure I'm going to do a second part on this if you guys want. So let me know. I want to hear from you guys what you want to hear more about and what you want to dive into more, because I'm here for you. When you think of self-love, and I think, have we spoken about that in another podcast? Maybe. If not, I've definitely dove and dived, I still can't figure it out, into that in my membership, in my free membership series. There I dive into the full understanding of self-love. Self-love is different, but is just as important. So these are the two key things: self-image healing and self-love. These two things are the things that are literally going to change your entire life when you prioritize these two things. And self-love is, I feel like, but maybe it's because I put it in the series. Self-love is basically taking care of yourself before others, but so that you can be of better service for other people. So that's basically, when the plane is crashing, you need to put your mask on first before helping your child, because you need to be at a better state to be able to help the other person. That is what self-love is. And that is where we struggle a lot too, because a lot of us take like self-care days, and they're very valuable and needed, but we neglect ourselves in every other area. So you can be taking all the self-care days every week, but if then you're neglecting yourself when, for example, you are at work, or when you're dealing with your kids, or when you're dealing with your partner, and you're going above and beyond for the other person, but you're not taking care of yourself first, then you still have a lot of self-love work to do. You can't make up for that with a massage or a self-care day. It is having the program of me first, then everybody else. And that program is so important, because it's literally what most of us struggle with when it comes to achieving the things that we desire in our life, because we always see this as a selfish thing. But it is actually the opposite of selfish, because if I'm tired, if I'm exhausted, if I haven't eaten, if I haven't slept, and I've been taking care of everybody else, and then I go and coach you, I'm not going to be at my best energy, am I? I'm not going to be at my best energy here for the podcast. I'm not going to be the best girlfriend that I can be. I'm not going to be the best dog, because I have dogs, dog mom that I can be. I'm not going to be the best in my career. I'm not going to be the best intuitive if I am drained. So I need my cup to be full so that I can make sure that I am at 150% for everybody else. And the same thing goes for you, because that is how you can truly be there for other people. If you're only giving 50% of yourself, then you're actually doing others a disservice, and that is more selfish, because you feel like you will feel better if you take care of others first, right? Because that's what it always comes down to. I know, sounds a little bit like harsh. I was thinking of that's the thing with me. I always think of like a saying in Dutch, and then I'm like, okay, how can I? But harsh is the word. That is what it is at the end of the day. Because why are you doing these things for other people? Is it from a true unconditional unconditional love place of like, I do this because I love them so much, or because you want to be the best for them? You can be the best for them if you take care of yourself first. 1000%. When we start making that click, things really instantly start to shift. And if you can start implementing these things, so going through, where am I low in my self-image? So where am I not seeing myself as perfect? Where would I not build myself the exact same thing? What are some things about myself that I do not like? And then if you can start shifting that perspective and seeing it as absolute perfection, I promise you so many things are going to shift and literally go through all areas of life. And if you don't know all the areas of life, I have them in the free membership. I'm sure I went over them in some of the podcasts. Go listen, write them out, and start looking through the list. And then the same with self-love. Where am I neglecting myself? Where am I prioritizing others, other things over myself? Because it could be in an area where you think, but I'm prioritizing myself when it comes to my body. I take care of my body. I train. I do all this stuff. But are you neglecting yourself when it comes to the financial area of your life? Like, are you paying yourself first before you pay others? Are you doing it in career? Are you doing something for yourself that makes you feel good so that you can step into situations and circumstances with full energy for your clients, for the people that you work with? Relationship. Are you doing something to fill your cup before going into the relationship? Things, activities, or what they need from you? Look through all of these areas and start seeing where is there still something to be gained. And I promise you, there's always something to be gained, because this is something that is so heavily programmed in us to put others before ourselves, and also to always strive for better. It's good to strive for better, but not when it comes from a place of I'm not good enough. It has to come from a place of this is going to enhance me. Like, I'm so amazing, this is going to make me even more amazing. That's what I want you to start looking at. That's what I want you to start looking at after listening to this podcast. These things are going to make such massive shifts in your life. And although this podcast was short and sweet, I do believe that this is some magic stuff that I'm giving you in this podcast. I know that these things have changed my life tremendously, and like the lives of my clients tremendously. So start working on these things, because this is the core. This is the core of why you're struggling to achieve or overcome whatever you are trying to overcome right now, or whatever you're trying to achieve right now. At the core are one of these two, if not both. And if you can start thinking to yourself, or which one pops out to you most, start working on that one. And you'll see that everything will start to shift. Like, literally everything. It is like magic, because it's so funny. When you start noticing this and realizing that this is at the core of everything, you will start noticing everybody around you and seeing, oh my God, they do struggle with a self-image issue, and that's why that's not showing up. Oh my God, they do struggle with a self-love issue, and that's why that's showing up. You will see everybody's struggles stems from this. Everybody's. And everything is going to make so much sense when you realize that. I promise that. I really do. And yeah, I want to hear about it. Let me know how it goes. This has been the biggest game changer for me. And I know it's going to be the biggest game changer for you. And if you want to know and dive deeper into this topic, let me know. Write it in the comments. Contact us. All my information is in the show notes. So contact us. Let me know what you want to dive deeper into, what angle you want to take. And I will be more than happy to dive further into this topic. Like I said, a little shorter, a little sweeter, but I think we really got to the nitty-gritty of the topic today. So that's great. Love you all, and I hope to see you in the next episode.